Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Cinco de Mario Lopez. It's on us quick.
Hey, very good. Can you believe it's already May, bro?
Yes.
Dude, this is flying, and we're just getting into the crunch right now of all the great fights. Shout out Smoking Tim Frazier and
Tino on the edits. All right, the bout sheet for this week's program. We preview Canelo Munguia, and to talk about it at length with us, joining us on the championship hotline, the one and only Jim Lampley. We talk about the monster in Tokyo, and we also have final flurries, but we want you to know, hey, this podcast is sponsored by Hustler Casino, located just 15 minutes from downtown LA. During the last Monday of the month, if you play No Limit Hold'em, you can win a chance to play on the award-winning live streaming show, Hustler Casino Live. The lucky player will be staked $5,000 to play on the live stream. The winning player must stay through the duration of the whole stream. Stop by and play all your favorite games on Hustler Casino, or check them out online at hustlercasino.com.
Round one.
All right, round number one this Saturday, May 4th, from the T-Mobile Arena in Viva, Las Vegas, for the Super Middleweight Championship of the World. Canelo Alvarez takes on fellow Mexican Jaime Munguia. Mario, we saw an upset a couple of weeks ago, and it shook up the world.
Yo.
So I'm not going to count out anybody. Here's the question that I have. How competitive can Munguia really be here?
I don't know if it's upset season, but and as I wear a wild card t-shirt,
But still be fair and balanced.
Here's the thing. I really do like both guys.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big Canelo fan. I think he's a champion's champion. He carries himself like a gentleman, consummate professional, continues to get better as he's gotten older. Defensively, is counterpunching. And Munguia from Tijuana. I'm from Chula Vista. It's a neighborhood right next door. Great kid. Liked when he was training with Morales, and like him now he's training with Freddie, and I've gotten to see him spar. And look, is he capable of pulling off the upset? He's younger, he's fresher, he's bigger. He throws more punches than Canelo, but Canelo is a counterpuncher, and Munguia will leave openings for Canelo to exploit. It's going to be a tricky dance for Munguia, but it is possible. And I think he is a very live dog. I think it's going to be a much more competitive fight than people think. I think he is a formidable opponent. In talking to Freddie Roach, who thinks he's straight out going to win, I think you have to favor Canelo, still going in with experience. And for what I just said, I think his counterpunching is still a little too precise and strong and all the other attributes he has. But I do think, because of what I mentioned about Munguia, that he is very much a live dog. And it's not like it would be a big shocker to me. Look, Canelo's got, 65 fights? Munguia, out of all the active fighters, I think probably is closest to second.
43-0. So him and Zurdo Ramirez are probably right on his tail.
Exactly, who obviously is in another weight class. So Munguia is a very seasoned, experienced fighter himself. Hasn't fought in a fighter the caliber of Canelo, but I think it's going to be fun, it's going to be competitive, and it's going to be a really good fight where he is a live dog. You have to favor Canelo, but it wouldn't be the biggest upset in the world to me personally. Your thoughts?
My view is this. If you're Freddie Roach and you're mapping out this game plan, there's a phrase that comes to mind, Mario, and you talked about the volume puncher and offensive proclivities of Munguia, who I've deemed the Mexican shotgun, because he just loads one round after another, right?
Yeah.
Less is more. I actually think the one thing, and you talked about the precision of Canelo, if you are going to just go into that wood chipper.
Right.
What do you do? What don't you do against Barry Bonds? Pitch fastballs, right? I think there are times, believe it or not, Munguia has to move his feet and actually, instead of throwing 6 to 8 punch combinations, get 3, 4, move away. One thing that Canelo's never done well is move his feet. He never resets.
And Munguia's a pretty athletic kid.
He's not that much of a plotter. He's actually a better athlete than people think.
You're right. And when you say he needs to do this, after 45 fights, you are who you are. You make some adjustments, but you are who you are. I think Canelo will have him off balance and constantly out of position, and we'll be able to counter him. The thing that concerns me is Munguia has been buzzed a little bit by opponents.
Lesser punchers than Canelo.
Let's not lie. Punchers at Canelo. He is fighting at heavier weight class, though, so maybe he's got, and he looks like his whiskers were pretty solid when he was getting caught these last couple times. But I also think that he will sort of rise to the occasion. He knows what's at stake. He feels like he's got nothing to lose, really, since he's going in as the prohibitive underdog. So I think it's going to be close, regardless.
I will say this. I think it's going to be much more entertaining than the Charlo fight. That thing was a glorified sparring session.
No.
I think Charlo actually embarrassed the family name. He never tried to win. It got monotonous. I actually think it affected Canelo's performance because he got very monotonous inside that ring. But again, Mario, he is 60-20-2. This is his 65th fight. There comes a point when age actually does matter, where the experience becomes a little bit of corrosion. If he's gone backwards, Munguia has a slight opening here.
Munguia's youth and physical attributes are what's going to be a factor here. It's make or break for him. And I think the power and the durability of Munguia, if it's focused and Freddie Roach has him with a good game plan, then there's a really good chance he can pull it off. Now, all that can go right out the window
with one shot
if he stands and wants to show a little too much cheese,
and he runs right
into it. So it depends. Can he do it? Yes. It remains to be seen if he will, because there's too many scenarios where he can get caught. Whereas Canelo, I don't see a scenario where he's too poised in experience, where it's just a matter of him. I don't want to say getting old overnight, but just not having as many miles on that fastball. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you lose an inch off of it.
Sure.
And this is a game of incremental decline.
Right.
And with Munguia, he's going to have to show some IQ. But with that being said, and I'm not making a comparative statement here, I liked what I saw against John Ryder. And I don't mean that, one guy stopped the other guy and John Ryder went the distance with Canelo. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just saying from Jaime Munguia, he actually looked like he had a plan, and he executed it, and this is where a big-time Hall of Fame trainer like Freddie Roach has got to earn his money. And I'm just telling you, I've talked to a few people that are close to Freddie. He's very excited. It has me almost suspicious about what is going on there. But I think it's going to be an entertaining fight at the very least.
Absolutely.
But, man, until you see an upset, it's hard to say we predicted the upset. I'm just going to say it's going to be a good fight.
Yep.
But I think the chalk, look, there's a reason why Alvarez is a 6-1 favorite. But that being said, Ryan Garcia was 11-1 by the time he faced off against Devin Haney 2 weeks ago. On this undercard, featherweight, Brandon Figueroa takes on Jesse Magdaleno. And in a welterweight scrap, Mario Barrios takes on Fabian Maidana. And for the WBA welterweight title, he's finally back. Imantas Stanionis takes on Gabriel Maestre. All right, when we come back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, we go to the championship hotline. We're joined by the great Jim Lampley.
Catch us streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking
For my fans. What? I ran it twice.
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Raise it up.
All right, now we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. And now, Mario, a very special regular correspondent to our fine program.
Dare I say, my favorite guest, because he's the legend himself, Mr. Jim Lampley. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys?
I'm well. As I pour more tequila, I will be even better. In a second, I have to keep up with this degenerate Steve Kim right here. I can't. Let me just ask you really.
You guys are drinking tequila while we get ready to do this interview. Is that right?
That's why the shows sound top notch, because we're heavily lubricated.
No, but hold on here.
I used to have that kind of confidence in myself, but no more.
That's one of the reasons I refer to you as a legend and I look up to you, is because everything seems so seamless. You would think that you had a couple right before because you're so relaxed.
I started talking when I was born, and I expect to stop talking at whatever minute this phase of my existence ends. But yes, I've never had too much of a problem spilling words out of this particular mouth.
I love it.
All right, so this Saturday night, and you'll actually be in Las Vegas starting from Tuesday. Jim, you will be a correspondent, and you'll be doing the live chat for ppv.com as Saul Canelo Alvarez takes on Jaime Munguia this Saturday night from the T-Mobile in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jim, we'll get right into this. Is Canelo ripe for the upset, given the fact his age isn't that advanced, but he's creeping up on about 65 professional prize fights?
That is amazing. And that's, by modern career standards, and modern, I mean 21st century career standards, that's really remarkable, maybe verging on unique for somebody in his position, though I try to stay away from the use of the word unique. It's badly overused and beaten to death by sportscasters. It means only one on the entire planet. But who else, has fought as consistently, has kept up as busy a schedule, has given to boxing fans as many interesting moments as Canelo has? I can't think of another one right off the top of my head at his level of the sport. And at what level is that? Rarefied. He's way up there now. And I remember calling the very first appearance on HBO when he got rocked by a lesser identity fighter and ripped back into the ropes by
Miguel's brother.
Miguel Cotto's brother, right? Not Miguel Cotto, Miguel Cotto's brother. Hit him with a left hook and knocked him back into the ropes. And at that point, I thought, oh, yeah, maybe he isn't everything he's cracked up to be. I was wrong. He was everything he was cracked up to be. And he's had a remarkable career as he gets ready to go into a fight that a lot of people thought he wasn't interested in against Jaime Munguia.
I agree with you, Jim. I think he is the last of the Mohicans. I don't know, unfortunately, if we'll ever see someone like him in that sort of record again. With 65 fights, the way these fighters are fighting once, twice a year, 3 is considered incredibly active, and to fight the caliber of fighter that he's fought, it's sad, and I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like there's who's got ironically, Munguia does have a lot of fights under his belt, but they are in rarefied air. Now, Canelo, like we've said, and one of the things I've always have admired about him is that I feel he's a champion's champion in the sense that as he started making a lot of money and as he started becoming truly the face of the sport, he didn't rest on his laurels. As a matter of fact, he continued to work harder, get back in the gym, improve in his craft. He actually got better as a champion, to me, defensively, as a counterpuncher. Now, with all that said, I don't know if we're at the point now where there's so much tread on those tires that, and he has had some surgeries and what have you, that he could be right for an upset. Munguia, who, ironically, we were just saying, has a lot of fights under his belt as well, is young, fresh, fast, will be up for the moment. According to Freddie Roach, he sees him as a very live dog, but he does leave himself a little open for counters, which Canelo is great at. How much of a live dog is Munguia in your eyes, Jim?
Well, he's trained by Freddie Roach. That is a real feather in his cap, and it's a reason to take him seriously. I curated the early part of Munguia's premium pay cable career on HBO. We were looking at Munguia as somebody who could eventually emerge at this level. He wasn't fighting fighters like Canelo Alvarez when he was appearing before my eyes on HBO, but he did provide exciting moments. He's a puncher, and the world loves punchers. He's a Mexican brawler type puncher. He has never been a conscientious defender of the kind who made you sit through rounds without action. All his rounds have had action, always. So I think he's a fan fighter. He's a good person as far as I'm concerned. I've never had a bad experience with him at the early peak of his career on HBO. I invited him to my home in Del Mar. I took him over to the racetrack and into the jockey room. He was stunned and thrilled that all the jockeys knew who he was. And it was so exciting to see the look on his face as they came up to him and patted him on the back and shook his hand and told him how much they were hoping for him to go forward and do big things. He did a great interview with me in my living room, and several days later, HBO was out of boxing, and that was the end of that. But I've always had a soft spot for him. And I'm hoping that he can prove to be a worthy opponent in the fight. Do I pick him to win? Nobody picks him to win. He's fighting Canelo Alvarez. And for a long time, a lot of people thought that Munguia just wasn't worthy of this. It looked for a while like Alvarez didn't think he was worthy of this. But he's had a winning streak. He's fought some pretty good fighters. He's beaten them all. He's looked good doing it. I'm very excited to go to the fight.
Jim and Mario, I want to point this out. Munguia has 43 fights under his belt, but he's 27. He's 6 years younger. So you talk about the tread on the tires, miles on the odometer, and you brought up Freddie Roach, Mario. I don't want to out anybody, but Freddie seems to be very confident in some private discussions. And I told someone that is an associate of Mr. Roach, you win this, agree or disagree, this would be Freddie Roach's biggest victory as a trainer ever.
Wow. Well, Jim, your thoughts on that statement?
Manny Pacquiao lost to Floyd Mayweather. And if Manny Pacquiao had won that fight, that would have been Freddie's biggest win ever. Freddie had some amazing wins with Manny Pacquiao, but I don't know that Pacquiao ever beat anybody who was exactly at the same level of the sport that Canelo is at right now. Canelo is the number one dollar for dollar fighter in the world. I don't think he's the number one pound for pound fighter in the world anymore. I think he was for a few minutes, but I think he has now been surpassed by Terrence Crawford. But Canelo still has more market value. He has more public meaning. A win for Munguia in this fight would skyrocket Munguia into immediate superstar status. And I can just imagine Freddie lying awake at night thinking of reaching that pedestal one more time in his career. He got there with Manny Pacquiao. He's got a chance to get there again. All it takes is one big shot this coming Saturday night.
Would it be bigger than the victory over De La Hoya? Because at the time, remember, that was thought of to be a complete mismatch in going up 2-3 weight classes, and De La Hoya being essentially the biggest star in the sport. Would it be bigger than that, Jim?
Well, I remember thinking that, Oscar was a logical favorite in a lot of ways, but Oscar had also had some tread on the tires. Now we're talking about Canelo having tread on the tires. I don't think that Munguia is as gifted as Manny Pacquiao. And I'm not sure what Freddie would say about that. Maybe Freddie knows more at this moment than I do, but I don't think Munguia is as gifted as Manny Pacquiao, so I'm not going to make that direct comparison.
No, natural ability, I agree.
That's why I think if he pulls the upset, if he jockeys that horse to win the Kentucky Derby, that'd be because
Pacquiao is that so gifted.
And
yes,
for the record, I actually think Freddie's best victory with Manny Pacquiao was not De La Hoya. Marco Antonio Barrera in 2003 was considered about the second or third best fighter in the world.
Correct, but the victory over De La Hoya is what made him a star.
Yes, it's a different type of thing. So let's go with the chalk, Jim. Most people are picking Canelo to win, and he's a significant favorite. So let's say he comes out victorious. We know that if Munguia pulls the upset, there's probably a rematch clause. Now, Jim, I know what you want. You want Benavidez. But oftentimes what we want, we don't get. So realistically, Canelo wins.
Can't I keep wanting Benavidez anyway, regardless of whether I'm going to get it or not? I want Benavidez or I want Morrell, and I'm pretty sure that's not what I'm going to get.
What about if Terrence Crawford were to come to fruition?
I have talked about that one, and I've talked it up. At the moment that I was talking about it, we were talking about a 21-pound weight gap. Crawford is now moving up to 154. So the weight gap is getting smaller. I think it's a natural fight within the modern ethos of the sport, given that it would be a clear summit meeting for pound. I'd love to see it.
That's the only fight that I think he does, assuming he gets past Munguia, where I feel the Mexican public will not, or the public in general, I should say, will not give him such a hard time, is if he doesn't fight Benavidez next, is if he fights Crawford for the reasons you just stated.
100%. That's an all credibility fight. Obviously, it's an all credibility fight for Crawford. It makes Crawford a hero either way, whether he wins or he loses. But I think if Canelo takes the fight, he's a hero to fans globally because he's giving people the biggest possible fight. Yes, I want Benavidez, but the public doesn't know Benavidez the way they know Crawford. They know that Crawford is a sizzling fighter with a killer instinct, and he's going to be great against anybody, regardless of the size differential. Size doesn't intimidate Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, and Jim, I'm just going to say this. If you think David Benavidez on the risk to reward quotient did not fit, David Morrell really doesn't fit. I mean, let's just face it. That guy has less than 10 fights. And I don't know what's going to go on with Morrell. He is the very definition of too dangerous and too good for his own good.
I also believe now that Benavidez is going to fight at light heavyweight, I don't think we're going to see him come back down. I really don't. He kills himself to make that weight, and I'm surprised he's been able to make it for as long as he had. I think
he could probably get back down to 168, but it might not feel good to him. It might not be the best way to go. I think he could make the weight, but could he go in and fight as David Benavidez if he's gone up to 175, fought at 175, and now comes down to 168? I think that's a hard proposition.
And you never see it work out too well. The examples that I think of when the fighters go up and try to go back down, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, it usually doesn't work out too well for them, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So, again, I think it's a hard proposition. If he's going to go to 175, we've probably seen the last of him as high quality at 168.
Jim, it was about a week or two ago. Huge upset. Ryan Garcia upsets the Alpha cart, defeating Devin Haney, and it opened my eyes. I saw something on social media. You did an interview, Jim, where you said that win you thought was a bigger upset than Douglas Tyson, a fight that you covered, I think one of your early bouts at HBO. Were you being prisoner of the moment, or do you stand by that statement?
I've said this over and over, and I'll say it again. When Mike Tyson stepped into the ring to fight Buster Douglas, his life was a shambles. He was involved in personal crisis at that moment in time. And I had seen him in the ring against various opponents who were taller, longer, right-handed, could throw an overhand right that came over the top that was hard for him to pick up. I saw him go the distance with Tony Tucker. I saw him go the distance with Mitch Blood Green. I saw him go the distance with James Bonehugger Smith. All those fights were before the Douglas fight. Douglas was the best of the group. He was an athlete. He had played college basketball. If you looked carefully at Douglas Tyson going in, it was nowhere near as big an upset as, say, Cassius Clay over Sonny Liston, February 25, 1964. So at the end of the day, I believe the degree to which Douglas Tyson was an upset is overblown. And I didn't believe for a second that Ryan Garcia was going to compete with Devin Haney, much less hurt him every time he touched him with the left hand.
Did you not believe that because you too thought that Ryan's life was in shambles and all the antics and the social media? Because I said this on the show. Had I not seen all the shenanigans, I actually had it a very close fight. It depends. If Ryan can get to him early, I thought he might have some success, and that could be all she wrote because he's always been a little chinny to me, Haney. But once we saw all the shenanigans, and I'm like, oh well, his head's not in it, and then that changes your perspective.
Yes, and the fact is that there are some people who are energized by that. There are some people who are not diminished or destroyed by that kind of chaos in their lives, but they are energized by it. Go back and look at Jack Dempsey. His life was often in chaos, and he was destroying opponents in the ring. And it looks to me as though Garcia is exactly that kind of person. I would never have dreamed that he could go in there and be who he was. And the first moment that he touched Devin with a left hook, I saw the look on Devin's face and thought, well, I was wrong. This is really something else.
I will say this, though. Mike Tyson coming in, even to February 10th, 1990, even though there's some cracks in the armor, he had left Kevin Rooney, a lot of stuff going on with Robin Givens and Ruth Roper, he was still thought to be unbeatable. While with Devin Haney, let's be honest, I think the majority of us believe Devin lost last year to Vasyl Lomachenko. There wasn't that cloak of invincibility. With that,
well, and not only that, to piggyback on what you're saying, Linares buzzed him.
Yes.
Jojo Diaz buzzed him. Yep. Loma had him in trouble. And I thought it was because of the 135 weight and him killing himself. I thought he might have his legs under him. He looked to be a little sturdier at 140. So he wouldn't appear to be as chinny to me. But, and also, was the fact, do you think, Jim, his boxing IQ might have been a little overrated? Because he was thought to be this slick boxer, but he didn't look incredibly slick that night, avoiding getting hit with the same left hook.
Well, I don't know about by other people, but I overrated him. Yes, I certainly thought that he had the boxing IQ to go in and do a cleanup job, and I was wrong. And like I said, the instant Ryan touched him with a left hook in the first round, it was abundantly clear. This guy has an extremely powerful delivery, and it's rocket quick. I mean, it's the hardest punch to see coming anyway, because it's off the front foot. It's a short arc. It's the off arm, et cetera, et cetera. But his is special. And there's no bigger weapon. I mean, I've said it over and over to my friends. If I have one thing to take into my next life to protect myself, make it a good left hook. And his is dynamite. So it's going to be very interesting to see where all that goes. Can he be Jack Dempsey? Can he maintain that kind of competitive fire and will and effectiveness in a life that seems to be committed to chaos? Maybe.
Well, there's a fight out there that he wants, and that's Tank Davis, who beat him last year, who handicapped him with that weight, the rehydration, and now
a left hand to the liver.
Right.
How many people have you seen get up from a left hand to the liver?
And look, but Ryan says
the greatest shot there is.
But Ryan says, I want that at 144. And I'm thinking to myself, look, they made you shrink down to 136. I don't know if, look, Tank Davis and his people are already saying, we beat you. We're good. We never have to fight again. I'm just wondering if they could ever come to a middle ground, Mario, to actually make Tank versus King Rai 2.
Well, before we answer that, I wanted to ask Jim his opinion if him not making the weight on purpose taints it at all to you.
Did his not making the weight on purpose change anything?
Or tainted it?
Again, if nothing else, regardless of what you think about what it meant physically, it gave him confidence. You know, it gave him swagger. Look at what I did. Look how everybody's making a big deal about this. Just watch. Wait and see what I do with this. I think all of that played terrifically in his favor. I don't know if it made a physical difference. I don't know if it made his left hook more powerful. I don't know if it made his punch resistance against Devin punches more. I'm not enough of a physiologist to theorize about that, but I think he laughed his ass off going to bed.
He certainly did.
Do you favor him with because ironically, there's still no world championship, correct? He's still searching for his first world championship.
Still beltless.
And he says he can't make 140 anymore, and I'm sure he can sort of make his own weight class now because he's the attraction. But let's assume for a second he wants to fight at 47. We've got Teofimo Lopez, Boots Ennis. Crawford's now moving up. But let's take those two guys that can punch. Do you feel he'd have to be a little bit more focused, or can he still pull it off with those antics?
Well, you said the magic word. They can punch. And that's the difference between them and Devin at this particular moment. So he got hit to the body by Tank Davis. Very few people survive that one shot if you catch it right on the liver. We don't know about his chin. We certainly don't know about his chin against somebody like Crawford, who can rip, and some of the other guys you mentioned can also tap the keg. So I'm not really sure, but I'm sure whatever he chooses, he's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to excite boxing fans in a big way just by getting back into the ring.
Great for the sport. I agree. Great for the sport.
Jim, we have a loaded schedule coming up here the next 5-6 weeks, and Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency out of Saudi Arabia, is a big part of it. And they just announced another monster card August 3rd at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. That includes Terence Crawford and Tim Tszyu against Virgil Ortiz. Is he the most impactful, influential person in boxing in 2024?
Well, it might piss Eddie Hearn off if we say that. But it certainly appears that way at this moment. He's making big fights. He seems to be making them with ease and alacrity. You just mentioned a very big card that's probably going to have me traveling from Chapel Hill to Los Angeles. I haven't been to Riyadh yet.
Hi, Jim.
All right,
Drop by.
Jim.
We got the seat waiting for you. Drop by.
That'll be fun.
All right, I got to go to dinner now. If you guys can let me go, I'll go and handle this next appointment in Chapel Hill. And are you coming to Vegas?
I am not. I'm going to a fight party, and you got a work assignment,
I
don't you?
unfortunately have to work, but I will be living vicariously through you, my friend. But when you are in LA, we'd love to have you come by.
In studio.
Take you out to eat after.
I'll let you know as soon as I'm coming to Los Angeles, and I can't wait to come in and do this live for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes, however long you'll have me.
All right, so just a reminder, if you for ppv.com, Jim Lampley will be heading up some of the coverage throughout the week and also the live chat. Canelo Munguia this Saturday night from the T-Mobile Arena in Viva, Las Vegas. Jim, as always, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
My privilege, guys. Great to see you. Bye-bye.
All right, and we'll be back with more of the 3 Knockdown Rule. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to get involved with the 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show, we will still have some slots available. Please reach out to us by emailing info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid.io is an online platform that is launching soon that helps public figures and professionals in the world of boxing get sponsorships. We are proudly working with boxbid.io. Mario, Jim Lampley never disappoints.
He's the best. I love him. To me, he's the best broadcaster with his pipe, sense of enthusiasm. He's so articulate and knowledgeable. He's the best.
And I'm just off for dinner.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he's being fed now.
Knows his priorities.
He knows his priorities.
He's like mid sentence. Hey guys, I gotta go eat.
Yeah, his wife's probably pointing at the watch, saying, "Hey, Butter, we got to get out of here."
I know that feeling.
All right, moving on here.
Review preview.
Fight preview, Saturday night, Save Martin Arena, Fresno, California. Show presented by Golden Boy on the Zone. Junior middleweights in action. It was a short night. Virgil Ortiz Jr. stops Thomas Delorme in 1 with a perfectly placed left-handed body shot. And then junior welterweight fireworks, Jose Ramirez with a 12-round decision over Rances Barthelemy, escaping some rough moments. The scores 118-110 and then 2 scores of 119-109. Mario Virgil Ortiz, it was announced after we taped last week, he's going to be taking on Tim Mexican Tszyu August 3rd. Bring it on.
I love that. And by the way, I love that for Tszyu, too. My guy who was just in a grinder with Fundora, happened to lose his title, still fighting at the high level. A tip of the hat to him. You wish all fighters.
That's a real fighter right
there. That's a real fighter right there. I'm assuming he's healed enough and will be fine leading into that because we don't want any cuts being a factor, but that's a really good fight. That's a tough fight. I like that.
Do you have any concerns that Virgil Ortiz has fought twice this year? Okay, so they've tried to keep him a little bit busy. He has not gone a combined 6 minutes.
He hasn't gone more than 2 rounds.
Right, so is that a factor, or do you feel like, hey, he's been through 2 camps, he's going to be relatively sharp?
Look, he's as sharp as he can be, considering the outcomes of those fights, and that's what you always want, right? So I think he's chomping at the bit. I like that they're getting him back right away. What is that? How many months is that away now?
That's about 3-4 months.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's perfect. He's going to go in there sharp. Obviously, Tszyu, just went through a bit of a war, and he's going to go. I love this fight for both of these guys.
Yeah, but keep this in mind. I think for this fight, he's going to actually have to make 154. For the last couple of fights, it's been this non-title catch weight, which they generally do. But I thought he looked good physically. And the most underrated part of Vergil Ortiz, despite all his power and strength, Mario, he has some real speed. He's not a slow, grinding guy.
No, and he's a two-handed guy, too. He lets both those hands go. He's a guitar player.
Yeah.
So he knows how to... He knows how to move those hands. But we've always been a big fan and support of his. He's a nice kid. He's humble. He works hard. He had some health issues for a while, slowed down his career. He looks to be back on track. If he's victorious and looks good, he's right back in the mix.
I'm actually surprised, but again, this speaks to the mentality. We saw the gash suffered by Tim Tszyu against Fundura.
That's why I was asking.
Wow, and I'm just thinking to myself, I want to make sure he's medically cleared and okay.
That's why I was asking, because it seems severe to be. He must have some quick healing powers.
But as I like to say, fighters fight, and he's got a fighter's mentality. On this card, you know, there's an old saying in baseball, when you hit a little blooper or an 18-hopper, it looks like a line drive in the scorebook. You know, judging by the scores of Ramirez-Barthelemy, you would have thought it's an easy fight. I thought it was anything but easy. Mario, I know that the inactivity was a factor. There may have been some ring rust. I don't know how much that affects your punch resistance. I was a little bit alarmed that Barthelemy was able to really significantly buzz Ramirez more than once in this fight. Does that concern you?
It does. He's been in the sport for a minute now, and I know he always wants to perform well, especially in his hometown, and he's so important to that community. He eventually got the job done, but he was buzzed, like you said, and hurt a little bit throughout. You don't want to start hearing names like Ryan Garcia, who's really got some pop, if I'm Jose Luis Ramirez, which they might want to try to offer, because that would make a lot of sense. Two fighters with name recognition, two Mexicans,
both with Golden Boy.
Both with Golden Boys, easy fight to make. Former world champion. There's a lot of stuff that makes sense about it for Garcia, because if I'm Ramirez, I don't know if I'd want that smoke right now with those fast hands in that power. But maybe he's at the point where, look, he's a smart guy. I don't know what his future plans on, but he can easily get involved politically in a local level there. He's important, like I said, to Fresno. And I think he'd do well, and I think his heart's in the right place. So I don't know how much his heart is in it anymore. He's made some decent money. I know he's made some pretty good little investments. After a while, you know, it's no fun getting hit in the face anymore if you don't have to. Has he crossed that bridge yet? I don't know, but I think he's close to it.
You know, if a fight with Ryan Garcia, who absolutely now is one of the faces of boxing, he's a pillar of the sport. And the way I gauge it is this: when you fight that guy, are you making a career-high payday? I think everyone that fights Ryan Garcia, at the very minimum, is probably making $5 to $8 million. And I don't want to use the term cash out, but if you're Jose Ramirez, who in the last couple of years has turned down more than one title shot, and a couple of times you've said, well, you're not paying me what I'm worth, all of a sudden, if someone offers you a payday north of $4 to $5 million.
That goes a long way in Fresno.
Yeah, a long way, and you will give up the weight. You'll find something in between 140 and 147. Now, to be fair, Rances Barthelemy, I thought, could have been disqualified for that third round. There's no doubt about it. It was a legitimate knockdown. I thought Jack Reese missed the call. I've never seen a guy hit a guy as many times as he did Ramirez when he was prone on the floor on one knee. I was like, wait a minute, that looked very deliberate. Okay, and I'm surprised that Jack Reese didn't tell Ramirez, you get 5 minutes, because for a foul, whether it's a low blow or anything else, you get 5 minutes to recover.
Yes.
Here's the other thing that was alarming. It wasn't just the punch resistance. There used to be a time that with his activity, Ramirez could wear people down with those body shots.
Correct.
It seemed like he was kind of pushing his punches. They didn't have the same snap that they once did.
Well, that's part of the hunger, the grind,
the youth, yeah.
That you have that fire in your belly when you're a younger fighter. He's a little bit older now. He's made some money now. He's got responsibilities. So who knows? But for economic reasons, if I'm Ramirez, then I'm taking the fight too. And who knows? Maybe those extra pounds, if it is a catch weight, he has a little more under him. He's got a little more pop. He feels a little bit better. Who knows? But I think it's a good fight for both of them.
Yeah, but, I had kind of thought about this fight beforehand, and as I'm watching this fight, as Ramirez is getting buzzed, he's getting hit, I kept thinking to myself, that lethal lightning lead and counter hook of Ryan Garcia, we are talking about a guy that has legitimate power, and this would not be a title fight. So, Mario, you know who the A-side is. You could do the old Ryan weight and say the weight class is 143.2.
I think he likes that. I think Ramirez would jump all over that, though.
Yes, and I don't think it'd end up well. He looked like a guy that was a little bit faded, and as they say, he's on the back nine.
It'd end up well when it goes to the bank.
Right. All right, moving on here. We're going to preview this today because by the time we get on next week, the fight will have already happened. Monday, May 6th, Bonsai at the Tokyo Dome in Japan on
Homie likes to fight on weekdays. It's a trip.
There are different people up there. Gung-ho, man. For the 122-pound undisputed championship of the world, one of the very best fighters in the world today, the monster, Inoue, takes on rugged, tough Mexican Luis Neri. Mario, are we feeling an upset special here?
Look, who knows? Anything can happen in the ring. Luis Neri is a really talented guy. One of the fights of the year, we saw him against
Azat Hovhannissian in Pomona.
I remember we were there in person. That was a great fight, and I was really impressed by him. And he's a great little fighter. With all that said, Inoue is something special. And I think you need to be incredibly special and on your game to beat him. I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. And you have to like Inoue going into this fight just with him firing on all cylinders and the speed and the power. Neri, I think, is going to be probably one of the more skilled, slick opponents that he's fought in there because he's crafty. But at the end of the day, I think Inoue's power will be the factor.
Luis Neri, 35-1, 27 knockouts, so he can swat a little bit.
Sure.
Here's what I noticed.
But he's also crafty.
Well, he's a
slick.
Swarming southpaw. This is what I noticed against the fight against Azat Hovhannissian. He's pretty slick and crafty, but he's easy to touch by southpaw standards. Azat touched him a lot, just didn't have the punching power or the speed.
Well, that's why I said the power is going to be a factor.
And that's the trademark of Inoue. Also, the last time Luis Neri was here, he didn't make weight. He didn't act right. He was actually banned in the land of the rising sun, and they lifted the ban because they're saying, okay, you know what? You want to come over here, and also because he's rated pretty high, that, look, this fight, Inoue is not fighting for himself. He is fighting for the honor of Japanese boxing because Luis Neri was a marked man. He literally, they said, you're never going to fight here again. And I think there was a failed drug test that was also involved in the past. So you look at Inoue. What is the mark of a great fighter? What I've told you. Consistency. That whether you fight Mario Lopez, Carlos Zarate, Alfredo Zamora, Marco Antonio, you're at a level. Inoue does not have a lot of up and down to his game. And is another factor. The last guy he fought, Marlon Tapales, was a southpaw. I think that works perfectly for him. And in my view, when you are fighting for the number one spot, pound for pound, it is a beauty contest. It's not about just if you win, how you win matters. And Inoue has shown that it's not just power, it's adaptability, versatility, and mastering of technique and fundamentals. Neri will have some moments because he's good enough and he's tough enough. But I was there when Neri got decked by Brandon Figueroa. It was during the pandemic. We had to wear masks outside at the StubHub.
I remember that.
You know what ended up getting him? Body shots. Inoue has one of the best left hooks to the body. I think it's going to be the body attack because that's one of the ways you smother southpaw. You get in close, throw quick punches, and you wrap around the hook. I'm going to say officially, Inoue stops Neri between rounds 7 and 9. Yes. Bonsai. And also on this card, and again, folks, it's on ESPN Plus. You don't have to wake up that early. I may just wake up for the main event. But also on this bill, for the WBA bantamweight title, Takuma Inoue, the brother, takes on Shogun Ashita. And for the WBO bantamweight title, Jason Maloney takes on Yoshiki Takai. So Bonsai.
Final flurries.
Moving on to Final Flurries. Mario, growing up as a kid, you know one of the shows that I knew of but I never watched because it was so depressing and boring? Nightline on ABC with Ted Koppel and Sam Donaldson. You know how that show, you know why that show was created, right?
What makes you bring that up?
It was a hostage situation in Iran. Remember, they had 378 days. Do we have to start a countdown for Floyd Mayweather in Dubai?
Wow, that was a...
Yeah, I went all the way around that one.
All the way. I was like, where the hell is he going with this? Are they taking a page out of Garcia's book and saying all kinds of outlandish things to promote this fight, or is this what's real?
Well, him and Tank have like I said,
there's all kinds of rumors out there. Speaking of Garcia, he said that, and he said he's not the one that started it. It's well known, which I didn't know about it. Tank hooked up with one of Floyd's daughters.
Okay, you said that, not me.
I'm quoting what he said, and he said it was all over.
Yeah,
I'm repeating the rumor that was on social media. I'm asking you. You know, you're the one that's glued to the social media.
You know what? I'm going to call you Timex Social Club. How do rumors get started? Started by the Mario Lopez people.
No, not by Mario. I was quoting. I'm quoting. I'm telling you what he said, and he said that's well known. He's not talking out of pocket. And the hosts who we were talking to apparently were shaking their head like, oh, yeah, I heard that. I was like, I didn't hear that.
I'm going to plead the 5.
So wait,
the
you know
5th.
and you don't want to say anything?
I'm not going to say anything. I would never besmirch anyone's reputation. You know what about me? I'm the good guy here.
You're
look,
undisputed besmirching champion of the world.
Look, I don't want to be a piece of shit or anything, but come on.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Now you're resorting to vulgarity.
Mario.
But, no, you heard that movie, right?
Right, and look.
So why are they on the outs? What happened?
Well, this is not unusual. Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather are that high school couple that every other week they break up, then they make up, then they break up. But when it comes to Sadie Hawkins and the prom, they're always together. And there's a theory that every time there's an upcoming fight, that one of the things they do is make up conflict. However, there are sources in boxing that I trust that have said, yes, he's not being held hostage. There's not like a blindfold and a gun to his head, but he is being detained for outstanding debt. He's in arrears.
Detained. You don't want to do that in the Middle East. And then 50 Cent, who's in everybody's business.
Old Curtis.
He posted something with this other guy, was talking about Floyd being in financial dire straits, not just in the Middle East, but sort of all over the place, and alluding to his lifestyle fight and finally catching up with him.
He says he makes $300 million a month.
A month?
Floyd, yeah.
What is he, Elon Musk?
He's Money Mayweather. What are you talking about?
Quit messing around, Ken. Did you hear that? You saw that. Fiddy's got a big platform. I'm sure you saw it. And he's saying that it's finally caught up with him. Any truth to that you hear?
Yeah, it may be over jewelry. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, and then look.
All of a sudden, look at all these rumors.
Started by the dirty people.
Yeah, go ahead,
but even Tank referred to it. Tank certainly referred to the fact that, yeah, that guy stuck over there. I could write him a check.
Wow.
So there's some issues there. So all I'm going to say is free Floyd. Free Floyd. We might have to start him a GoFundMe account. Seriously.
Look, to all the youngsters out there and people who are even making money right now, I don't care how much you make. It quickly goes with lifestyle, your homies, who you think are your homies, your hangers-ons. You start getting girls in your life, and then all of a sudden you're blind and you forgot how to count. It quickly goes. It's not, you hear all these stories of not just fighters, and all these professional athletes who made literally hundreds of millions, and then it's gone, and you wonder, how did that happen? It happens.
Look at MC Hammer. He was an object lesson. And by the way, I actually know 2 former bodyguards of Mayweather who have told me some stories who are no longer with that group, and they said, Steve, we escaped. We escaped. So, again, I don't want to be EF.
Escaped like it was a cult?
Well, I mean, like, they're glad to be out. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So, kids, I'm just going to tell you one thing, and I don't want to be treated like E.F. Hutton, but listen up. I got 2 words for everyone that's making a lot of money. It's the most simple thing I could say. 2 words.
Save it.
Roth IRA. And save it. So that's it. Uncle Steve, Uncle Mario are trying to make sure you don't go back to where you were. Mario, órale, pero angulo. Woo!
Dude, you suck.
What?
I invited you to come to bare knuckle boxing.
I had stuff to do.
Yeah, you just chilled on your couch, bro, on a Saturday night. I'm trying to get you to get out there.
How would you
Frazier came. Frazier, was that fun or what?
Yes, it was actually. I just broke something.
I heard there was actual fights in the arena.
Yeah, no, we almost like.
Wow.
I
walks in 2 seconds in. A fight breaks out right by him.
I walked in with Mario's wife, Courtney, and one of her friends, and we're sitting there for probably 35 seconds, and a fight breaks out in the crowd and literally comes at us.
And so that was bare knuckle too, though.
Yes, it was. Courtney knocked them all out.
Yeah, my wife was very composed through the whole thing. She's been to enough fights where she doesn't get frazzled. But no, in all seriousness, bare knuckle boxing made its premiere here in LA, and it delivered. It was at the Peacock Theater, which quite honestly isn't the best venue for a fight. It's better for concerts. No. But because of the screens, it was cool. There was over 7,000 people there.
7,000?
Yes.
Oh.
They came. They were loud. And the fights, Kim, were awesome.
Bloody.
Bro,
oh, my God.
It was so savage. 5 2-minute rounds, no matter what. 5 2-minute rounds. So they are just throwing chingazos left and right. Knockouts. You want to know the irony, though, in 3 of the fights? Because there was a lot of fights. But it flew by. It was actually, people left there, and there was a palpable buzz of positivity. And when's the next one? And I want to see it again. But this was the weirdest thing. I've never seen this on a fight card before. And mind you, it's just boxing. It's just no gloves, no kicking, no elbows. There's no MMA. You can hit a little in the clinch. That's about it. Other than that, it's boxing. Just no gloves. Right. There was a guy who broke his arm as he got dropped. He fell back, broke his arm. You saw the bone come out. It was just a serious dislocation.
Man.
Okay, these big heavyweights. There was another guy happened to me, tore his bicep. That came out. Fight ended right there. Another guy.
See it roll up his arm.
I saw it roll up. Another guy got dropped. He fell, dislocated his shoulder. 3 injuries that, you're used to broken nose, jaws, orbitals, whatever, cuts. I've never seen people stop because of the ground. They hit the ground wrong, and a broken arm, a torn bicep, and a dislocated shoulder. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Pretty sure one of those guys got a concussion as well.
Yes, and then the ropes, that's another thing. The ropes aren't soft ropes. There's I don't know why, but there's because it's like a hard sort of...
very rigid.
Yes, it's stiff. There's iron in there or something in these ropes. So you really got to move them so they're not soft like the other ropes. So one of them hit their head, and you saw him get kind of buzzed. It was wild, but the fights delivered. It was so much fun. Pedro Angulo had one of my favorite fights of the night. He had a guy in the ref. I don't know if the ref was seeing it, couldn't see it, just... didn't care, but because you can't clinch, he grabbed him by his hair, which was in braid, and was big white dude was pounding him, man, pounding him. He was getting left. I go, oh man, this is bad for Pedro. I feel so bad.
But he had the eraser.
Oh, dude, and so he's bad, and they gave a little space. All of a sudden, he pawed a jab, and boom, laid out a big right hand, dropped him to the place erupted. It was awesome, and he was out. You would have had a blast. It was a really good time.
Wow, BKFC, Pedro Angulo. So what's next for him?
Dude, Pedro Angulo wants to keep doing it. You had guys like Nate Diaz there. We saw Shane Mosley. We saw a lot of MMA fighters, a lot of different fighters.
And Conor McGregor's now part of this organization.
Conor McGregor is now part of the organization. He's only got a couple fights contractual, I think, in UFC. They're saying he might come. We'll see, but he's part of the organization, which is great nonetheless. But I was pleasantly surprised having seen it and worked on it in person. You got to make the next one. It's fun, man.
We'll see. Mario.
What you mean, we'll see? What you got to watch? What you just going to be?
If it's football season, I'm out.
Come on. Hey, listen, hermit, curmudgeon. Be out and about. Socialize once in a while, dude.
I'm good.
Dang, and you wonder why you don't have any friends.
Oh, I have a lot of friends. I turn down friends. I turn you down.
Oh, yeah.
Mario, you know what I want to give credit to?
You know what? Look at this. All that. You just transition.
We may want to tape this. You know what I want to give credit to? I asked a year or two ago who would... You
don't have any friends. Shut up.
Well, yeah, you're not one of them. So, Mario, you know who I want to give credit to? That is capitalizing on the victory. And I asked you this question years ago, or a couple years ago, after watching...
Did you see Pedro Angulo's fight? Is that how
I did. I watched the highlights, yeah.
Wasn't that good?
It was very good. The good right hand.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia's doing a hell of a job capitalizing on the victory. I think more fighters can learn from being dead serious. I asked you of this a couple of years ago watching the Kings on Showtime when Hagler, Leonard, and Hearns were all invited by Ronald Reagan to the White House because they were big enough that the president said, hey, let's hang out. And I said, I don't think there's any fighter today that would be invited to the White House. Well, I'll say this. Ryan Garcia was hanging out with Donald Trump.
And Trump was looking mad young too in that picture.
Looking good.
I don't know if that was a filter or what he had done, but he was looking good.
And
he's taking a nice little victory lap, hanging out with
Coach Prime in Colorado.
Coach Prime doing little concerts. Good for him. Good for him. Because the more you see him, the more they're going to talk about boxing, which is obviously better for the sport. Now, somebody mentioned something about Andrew Ruiz took a big victory too.
It's a little different though.
How?
Ryan's not putting on 50 pounds. He's not. He's not. It's a little different. Ruiz took a victory marathon. This is just a victory lap. We're still just a week or two away. It's a little different.
Well, we'll see. That's the point that the person was making too. And I said, well, that's a good point. I said, I don't see him putting on a lot of weight. And it wasn't about the weight. It was more about just the partying and what have you. He's young. He should be able to celebrate. It was a huge victory. I'd like to see him get back in there. I don't think he suffered too much wear and tear. Capitalize on that.
Yeah, because we're less than 2 weeks away from that victory. He's allowed to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
The Andy Ruiz camp, I'm just telling you, I know people that were there. That guy literally did not do anything for 4 or 5 months after that victory at Madison Square Garden. I know people that
eat.
Which to me,
a lot.
Which to me, and it's funny because we were talking to Lampley about greater upsets. To me, the Ruiz upset over Joshua is even bigger than both of them. Yeah, to be honest with you, than Tyson's.
And Andy was a late replacement.
Hold on, then Tyson's and Garcia's.
What? I don't know about that.
Yes, because I'm gonna tell you why. For the reasons that Lampley stated too. I knew that Tyson was partying a lot, but I just thought his physical gifts, a la like a Pacquiao, would overcome all that. I knew he was partying a lot, and Buster Douglas, remember his mother, father, one of them passed.
Mother died about 2.5 weeks.
So I knew
Lula Pearl.
Yes, and he was going to be highly motivated. He was prepared. He was a big guy too. It wasn't like I was a smaller guy. He was a big guy, and for the reasons mentioned, that's why it wasn't as much of a shock. Ryan and Haney too. We saw Haney get buzz and all this stuff.
We've seen him vulnerable.
But Joshua, bro, my guy looked like a Greek god in there, and being that Ruiz looked like a torta and was coming in as a late replacement and just looked like a physical mismatch and had already just gotten dropped, for him to come back and to beat him the way he did in the fashion that he did and to become the first Mexican heavyweight champion, that was the real Rocky.
Well, here's the thing with Mike Tyson. I still think that is the greatest upset ever. People have to understand, after he beat Michael Spinks in 1988, I still remember guys like Burt Sugar and whatever the famous writers were. They were literally saying, even at age 24, I think he was 23, 24, they were saying there's 3 great heavyweights in boxing history: Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, and Mike Tyson. And people were literally saying this guy might go 75-0. So I'll never forget the fight before he fights Buster Douglas. It was the junior year going into my senior year. He fought Carl the Truth Williams, who's a really good heavyweight, might have beat Larry Holmes a few years earlier. This is how dominant he was. I'm playing for the Montebello Brewers, Summer League Baseball, and that fight was on that night. And one of the coaches said, Steve, I know you want to watch the fight. We'll give you updates. So I'm warming up, and the guy was a boxing fan, so I'm like, I missed the Tyson fight. That's how big of a deal it was. We were all talking about the fight. So we're warming up on the third baseline at Grant Ray Park. I couldn't tell you a thing about the game, but literally the coach comes back 10 minutes later, goes, hey, Steve, fight's over. Knockout 1. We can concentrate on the ball game again. Nobody thought this guy was going to be vulnerable. I don't think we're doing some revisionist history. Tyson was a 42-1 favorite.
Yes, but like Lampley said, the inside guys knew that he... Hold on a second. He was partying the whole time. He was banging Japanese hookers 2-3 at a time over there. So it's not... Ruiz beat a very well-prepared, non-partying Anthony Joshua.
Well, wait a minute. There were reports that Joshua was concussed in camp in Miami, though. So we want to get into all these nuances. Fine.
That's not a nuance. First of all, that was a rumor.
Oh, you want to bet?
And it was never justified.
I actually know who did it to him.
But hold on a second.
That's not a rumor.
It's all hearsay afterwards. You cannot argue.
Boy,
with the
you
fact
love
that
your
somebody-
Mexicans.
No,
You
it's not
love your
that.
Mexicans.
No, it's not that. It's not a light. Look at, but you can't argue the fact that lifestyle means a lot.
Well, okay.
And I think the lifestyle of Tyson means a lot.
Okay, but
meant a lot.
wait. Mario, historically,
Dude, the homie was 8 inches taller.
I'm
Here's
sure-
another thing. He was 8 inches taller and so much bigger
Well-
than Ruiz. Tyson was still a much smaller man than Douglas.
yeah, but he knew how to use his
I
size
know.
to his
He
advantage.
didn't use it last night,
Well,
did he?
Mario, historically, who's considered a better heavyweight, the Mike Tyson of 1990 or the Anthony Joshua of 2019? You can't compare the two.
Of course not. Of course not. And you're picking and choosing certain moments. And I'm saying at that moment, that wasn't the best Tyson. If it was the Tyson we would have had at Michael Spinks, and for some reason Douglas beat him, then yes. But Tyson, their corner, do you remember, didn't even come in with regular ice. They weren't even prepared.
Well, no.
Even a regular corner. They were partying the whole time. They didn't take it seriously. That's what I'm saying. Joshua was a well-prepared athlete going up against this fat Mexican, and the dude, the little roly-poly, upset him. To me, that's the best upset.
I'll just disagree. And by the way, and going back to Ryan
You're a
Garcia,
prisoner of your moment in your little league, and there you go back to your
not
no
little
friends,
league. It was
and
summer
your
league.
little league.
It was summer league.
Your little league game.
And shout out to the
with your gray
Montebello
hair.
Brewers, man. I had a good time playing for those guys.
Did you guys win that night?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I probably went 4 for 4 though.
Yeah,
but anyway,
right.
and then when it relates to Ryan Garcia, look, Devin Haney, we all thought he lost to Loma. Let's be honest. He was not unbeatable. He was not thought to be untouchable, but he gets to live off the spoils of that victory. Mario, what are you doing this weekend? Got some big plans out there in H-Town?
Well, I ain't inviting you anyway. That's
Not that I would have gone.
Yeah, no shit. I unfortunately can't go to the Canelo fight.
You have a commitment.
I do have a commitment, but I hate missing these big fights, and that's going to be a really good one. I got to be in Houston. Because, I got these shoes. I hooked you up with some shoes. Didn't I hook you up with some shoes?
No shoes.
Yeah, I did.
No.
Didn't I hook you up?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Not that I'd
I
wear them,
remember,
but go ahead, give me some
You
anyway.
wear like a size 6, I remember.
Size 6.
You wear like a size 6.
More
I
like
remember.
10 and a half, though.
Yeah.
Call me Yeti
Dang.
or Bigfoot. That's what
I'm an 11, fool. So anyway, I did. You wear like a size 6, 7 or one of
Size
those.
6,
Didn't you? Don't you really? I'm going to hook you up. Anyway, the shoe line, it
Please
was a
don't
priority
after that.
commitment. You're going to like them. Well, they're not chanclas, but they're coming up. Do you even wear regular shoes? No, you got fucking chanclas on right now. So I'm going over there for a shoe business deal right there. So it's a prior commitment, and from there I have to go to New York.
As Mars Blackman once said, it's got to be the shoes.
It's got to be the shoes.
It's got to be the shoes. All right, we'll be back next week with the
I got some 11s. Can you fit into some 11s?
Yeah, but I look like Daffy
What you mean?
Duck.
What you mean, dude? You're bigger than me. I got bigger feet than you? Damn. Well, that's true.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
anyway, next week we will be back full review of Canelo Alvarez against Jaime Munguia. You never know what could happen. It's a Pandora's box.
Hey, are you really going to let this shit go great?
Why not?
It looks crazy. That's
Isn't it
why
great?
not. As your
I kind of like it.
One of your friends, like literally like one of your 2 or 3 friends
we're not
that you
friends.
have.
I don't consider you a friend.
One of your 2, 3
You're
acquaintances.
someone that I know.
You're one of your
Yeah,
acquaintances.
you're not a friend of mine, though, I'll tell you that much.
Listen.
I got the Jimmy Johnson chrome
someone who looks out for you, because I know no one's.
No,
looking out
you
for
never
You
do
don't have
that.
any real friends, because any real friends would tell you that looks like shit. You look crazy.
I look
you look
great.
like a psychopath
It's
that's gonna go
I'm
murder
doing a shot
people.
from the top right now.
It's
so you
gonna
can
look.
really see it.
It's like I'm looking Pepe Le Pew right now. I get it. It's
Bro.
gonna be. Like,
I'm looking out for you as a friend.
Even
would.
Whitlock said
Paint
something.
that shit.
Whitlock even said something on Fearless. Like, what is going on? I said,
Exactly.
Give me till the end of June. It's gonna take time.
Bro, I'm gonna
take
look like I'm
time.
doing with a crazy person right here.
Well, how do you think
You're
I
looking
feel?
have you seen
How
Michael
do you-
Myers? Did you see Michael Myers?
What about Michael Myers?
Wait, I'm gonna show
Michael Myers.
Yeah, no,
Mike
Mike
Myers.
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 Yeah,
All right, take it easy.
He let it all go natural.
You know
I mean,
who
come
Mike
on.
Myers is, right? Yeah, baby. Hold on, just stand by. This is the way you're gonna look. Stand by. Look at Mike Myers. That's how you're gonna look.
That's good. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with letting nature take its course? Send that over to me.
Dude, you know
we gotta
what?
put that up. Because it is what it is.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna hook you up with some Just for Men.
I don't
got
want
a lot of Just for
I've
Men.
kind of gone this far. I can't quit now.
Go back, because I'm going to tell you something. You're going to get all full gray. You're going to look like an asshole and a crazy person, and you're going to say, I want to paint it back now. And then you're going to look ridiculous
No,
after
I'm
that.
not.
I'm
Says who,
looking at
Tim?
it as a friend.
Tim, is there a rule
Hey, anybody that listens to the show, tell Kim I'm looking at as a friend. He don't have any real friends, because everybody's going like this behind your back. Oh, yeah, it looks good. You know what I'm saying?
I think you potentially could go back if you want, but it's not really a good idea because it's going to be shocking. But
Thank you, Kim.
But I want.
Frazier.
I want to see where this goes. So
no, dude. And then you're in a visual medium. Gosh damn, I ain't. Fuck.
You know what they say.
I gotta look at you too. That's another thing.
Yeah, you know what they say. Once you go black, yeah, you can go back.
Oh my God,
Come
dude.
on.
Then you got that material.
All right, anyway, we'll be back
Say
next
goodbye.
week on the 3 Knockdown Rule. On behalf of Mario Lopez, Smoking Tim Frazier, and Tino
Tino.
on the edits. Till next week, goodbye, everybody.